Hello and welcome to this Public Information Center for the Schedule C Municipal Class Environmental Assessment that is being completed for improvements to the Wye River South Bridge in the County of Simcoe. On behalf of the county and our study team, we would like to thank you for your interest and participation. The agenda for this presentation includes a brief discussion of the project study area and background, an overview of the Municipal Class EA process and where we are at in that process, a recap of the alternative design solutions discussed in PIC number 1, the preferred solution that was selected, a discussion of the alternative design concepts that have been considered for the preferred solution, a summary of how those concepts have been evaluated, and then an update on the next steps in this process. The Wye River South Bridge, identified as bridge number 027574 within the County of Simcoe's asset network, is located on County Road 27, approximately 150 meters north of the intersection with Floss Road 10. This is just north of the community of Elmvale within the township of Springwater. The existing bridge consists of a concrete deck on steel and concrete girder structure, which conveys the Wye River under the existing roadway. The bridge is currently over 90 years old and was last rehabilitated in 2002. The roadway itself consists of a rural cross-section with 2 lanes of traffic, one in each direction. The existing road cross-section does not meet current design standards in terms of lane widths, shoulder widths, and side clearances. Further, as part of the county's biennial bridge inspection program, it was identified that the existing bridge structure is in fair to poor condition, with significant deterioration. There is another bridge on County Road 27, approximately 220 meters north of the Wye River South Bridge. This bridge is known as the Martin Drain Bridge, or bridge number 027576. The Martin Drain Bridge has similar noted deficiencies to the Wye River South Bridge, and, given their proximity to one another, the Martin Drain Bridge has been considered in the identification and evaluation of alternative solutions and design concepts for this Class EA. In accordance with the Environmental Assessment Act, a municipality is required to conduct a municipal class environmental assessment before certain types of infrastructure projects can proceed to design and construction. The purpose is to ensure that projects consider the environment. The term environment is more broadly defined than one might think. It includes the natural environment, such as plants and animals, but it also includes the cultural, social, built, and economic environments that influence people and communities. The Class EA process requires the evaluation of various potential solutions and design concepts and the selection of the solution that will address the identified problem while minimizing and mitigating environmental impacts. This is classified as a Schedule C project, which means that the study will consist of completing phases 1 through 4 of the municipal Class EA process as illustrated in this flowchart diagram. To date, we have completed phases 1 and 2, including the identification of the problem statement, the evaluation of alternative solutions, and the selection of the preferred solution. We are currently at the public consultation stage of Phase 3, having identified and evaluated alternative design concepts for the preferred solution. The first Public Information Center was held in September of 2024. At this PIC, the alternative solutions were presented and evaluated to determine which option was preferred. The options consisted of do nothing and a combination of rehabilitation and/or replacement of both structures. After the evaluation and consultation with various stakeholders, Option 3, C, to replace the Wye River South Bridge and replace the Martin Drain Bridge, was selected as the preferred solution. With the preferred solution selected, the study team proceeded to develop a typical cross-section for the bridges to meet all current design criteria and to use in all of the design concepts developed for the preferred solution. The bridges will be made up of 2 3.75 meters wide travel lanes with 3.0 meters side clearances, such that the overall width is 13.5 meters between barriers. The vertical alignment was set based on the minimum height necessary to achieve the required clearance above the design water level at each structure location, and this was carried consistently through all of the design concepts. It is noted that this means the bridges and therefore the road will have to be raised above their current location for all design concepts. The study team then looked at options for the horizontal alignment and developed 3. Option A, maintains the existing centerline road alignment. This option will keep the road in its current horizontal alignment. Option B involves a shift in the centerline road alignment to the west, and option C involves a shift the centerline road alignment to the east. For design concept option A, the road and bridges will maintain the same centerline alignment as existing. However, the existing bridges are not wide enough to carry at least one lane of traffic while allowing for demolition and construction of the other half of the bridge. Therefore, this option will require a temporary bypass road, including 2 temporary bridges, to be constructed. This cross-section for design concept, option A, shows the existing road platform, the proposed road platform, the road embankment, and the river location. As illustrated, the proposed road platform and embankment are quite a bit wider than the existing. In addition, the center line of the proposed temporary bypass road will have to be located approximately 18 meters to the east of the center line of the existing right-of-way. This means that the watercourse along the southeast side of the Martin Drain Bridge will need to be relocated approximately 22 meters to the east. Under this scenario, property acquisition is required on both sides of the existing right-of-way to accommodate the work, but the acquisition on the east side is much greater than the west. In addition to the watercourse realignment required southeast of the Martin Drain Bridge, another realignment of the watercourse will be required southwest of the Wye River South Bridge, as shown in this graphic. The proposed road is shown in gray and maintains the existing centerline alignment. The pink shading depicts the proposed bypass road located to the east. Along the bottom portion of the graphic, the vertical profile of the road can be seen. As previously noted, the vertical profile will be the same for all options and is based on the required hydraulic clearance at the bridges. This graphic also depicts the anticipated limits of property acquisition required for this option. For design concept, option B, it is proposed to have the new bridges on a horizontal alignment that is shifted approximately 5 meters to the west of the existing roadway centerline. This offset would allow traffic to utilize the existing road during the first stage of construction and would eliminate the need for a temporary bypass road. This cross-section for design concept, option B, shows the proposed road cross-section shifted 5 meters west of the existing road centerline, as well as the proposed extents of the road and the river location. Once again, the proposed road platform and embankment will be much wider than existing. Under this scenario, it is proposed that the east property line could be maintained, but significant property acquisition would be required on the west side to accommodate the proposed work. As illustrated in this graphic for design concept, option B, the proposed road, which is shown in gray, has a horizontal alignment that is 5 meters west of the existing centerline. This will require a realignment of the watercourse southwest of the Wye River South Bridge of approximately 10 meters to the west. It is noted that the watercourse realignment is in close proximity to an existing residence, and it is expected that this would create a negative property impact. The anticipated limits of property acquisition required for this option are also shown. For design concept, option C, it is proposed to have the new bridges on an alignment that is shifted approximately 5 meters to the east of the existing roadway centerline. Similar to option B, this would allow traffic to utilize the existing road during the first stage of construction and would eliminate the need for a temporary bypass road. This cross-section for design concept, option C, shows the proposed road cross-section shifted 5 meters east of the existing road centerline, as well as the proposed extents of the road and the river location. As before, the proposed road platform and embankment will be much wider than existing. Under this scenario, it is proposed that the west property line could be maintained, but significant property acquisition would be required on the east side to accommodate the proposed work. As illustrated in this graphic for design concept, option C, the proposed road, which is shown in gray, has a horizontal alignment that is 5 meters east of existing centerline. This will require a realignment of the watercourse southeast of the Martin Drain Bridge of 15 meters to the east. To avoid a second realignment of the watercourse southwest of the Wye River South Bridge, a 110-meter retaining wall will be implemented along the west side of the road from the Wye River South Bridge to the intersection with Floss Road 10. The anticipated limits of property acquisition required for this option are shown in red. Once the 3 design concepts were developed, the next step in the process was to complete an evaluation. Various criteria were established, and each design option was evaluated based on how well they met the criteria and their potential to have a positive or negative impact on the different aspects of the environment. A summary of the evaluation will be presented in the following slides, using a matrix format with colors and letters to show the evaluation result. A green color is used to represent where an alternative is preferred as it addresses the criteria and/or has a positive impact. A red color is indicative of an alternative being less preferred as it does not address the criteria or has a negative impact. White is used to represent a neutral impact. For the evaluation of the concepts on the physical environment, the first criteria used was whether the option would meet the horizontal and vertical alignment design requirements. In this case, option A, which is to maintain the existing horizontal alignment option, would not introduce any new curves into the road, making it more preferable than the other options. Options B and C will introduce 2 small curves on either end of the project limits, while still meeting all criteria. Therefore, these were scored as slightly less than option A. With regards to impacts to existing utilities and infrastructure, options A and B will result in the road embankment shifting considerably to the west, requiring both the overhead hydro and underground bell utilities to be relocated, and thereby making these options the least preferable. Option C involves shifting the road to the east, which may only require a minor relocation of the underground bell utilities. Next, the options were assessed on their design and constructability. Option A was considered the least preferable given it requires the construction and design of a temporary bypass road and 2 temporary bridges, in addition to requiring 2 stream realignments. Options B and C will only require 1 stream realignment, and both will use the existing bridges to convey traffic, which will decrease throwaway costs from construction staging. However, option C will also require a lengthy retaining wall. This makes option B slightly more preferable than C. For the evaluation of the design concepts on the natural environment, the first criteria used was the potential impact on vegetation and wildlife. Option A will have the greatest negative impact, as it has the largest limit of disturbance due to the need for a temporary bypass road and 2 temporary bridges. Option C will have less of an impact than option A, but will still have significant impact on the east side of the road. Option B will have the least impact, as it will only result in disturbance on the west side of the road. With regards to the impact on the river system and bank stability, it is noted that all options require watercourse realignments. These realignments are considered to have a negative impact in the short term, while the work is being completed. However, the realignments also provide opportunity to make improvements for longer-term river stability. As a result, all options were scored equally neutral, as there are ways in which to mitigate the short-term impacts for all options. Similarly, for the evaluation of fish and fish habitat, it is noted that the required watercourse realignments will be quite disruptive during construction. However, these realignments also provide an opportunity to improve fish habitat, which has been reviewed and is considered to be degraded under existing conditions. It is anticipated that the positive impacts from improving fish habitat will outweigh the short-term disruptions during construction, so all options have been equally evaluated as neutral. With regards to surface water and groundwater, it is anticipated that any impacts will be localized and can be mitigated through proper construction techniques and measures. For the evaluation of the concepts on the cultural and social environment, the first criteria used was the potential noise produced by construction activities throughout the duration of the project. All options are expected to have a similar duration and noise levels. There is only 1 residence located within 100 meters of the site, so impact to the surrounding properties will be limited. As such, all options were ranked neutral. The second criteria evaluated was potential archaeological impact. To evaluate this, the archaeological investigation, conducted by ArchaeoWorks Incorporated, was examined in relation to the limits of disturbance associated with each option. Option A will impact multiple areas of archaeological potential, making it the least preferred. Option C will affect one area with archaeological potential, and Option B is not expected to have much, if any, potential archaeological impact. It is noted that mitigation of archaeological impacts is feasible and would require further study and investigations. And finally, with regards to cultural and built heritage impacts, it is noted that a study was conducted and determined there were no cultural or built heritage sites or features within the project limits. Therefore, all options were provided a neutral evaluation. As property impacts have a large effect on the cultural and social environment, they are a key consideration in the evaluation. Option A is expected to require almost 10,000 square meters of property from the 3 surrounding properties. This is the largest amount of property acquisition of all 3 options, so Option A is considered to be the least preferable. Option B and C require less property acquisition than Option A. Although Option C requires more property acquisition than Option B, it is noted that property acquisition is not required on the west side of the road, meaning there would be no impacts to the existing residential property in close proximity to the project area, which is considered to be preferable. The property acquisition impact for Option C is on the east side only, which is farmland. Moving on, it is noted that impacts to recreational use was also evaluated for all options. In general, all options will have temporary disturbance to activities in and around the river during construction. However, all options will result in greater overhead clearance for watercraft passing beneath the bridges, thereby creating long-term benefit. Due to the short-term negative impact, but long-term positive impact, all options were evaluated as neutral. Lastly, construction timing along with travel delays and detours were considered. Option A was evaluated more favorably as the temporary bypass road will limit delays and detours during construction. Conversely, Options B and C were evaluated slightly less favorably as they will require half of the existing bridge to be used to convey one lane of traffic during the first stage of construction. This will require the use of temporary traffic signals and will introduce a delay to traffic during this stage. For the evaluation of the concepts on the economic environment, the first criteria used was the estimated construction cost. Option A is anticipated to have a higher construction cost due to the bypass road and temporary bridges, making it the least preferable of all options. Option C will have a slightly higher construction cost than Option B, as it will require a retaining wall southwest of the Wye River South Bridge. That being said, when you also consider the costs for property acquisition and utility relocation, Option C is anticipated to have the lowest overall cost. In terms of operations and maintenance costs, all options will offer new infrastructure that will be similarly maintained over time, and as such, they were all evaluated as equally beneficial. To illustrate the previous point about costing a bit further, the estimated capital cost, excluding property acquisition and utility relocations, are $11.4 million for Option A, $9.9 million for Option B, and $10.3 million for Option C. But, when taking into account the approximate property acquisition and utility relocation costs, the estimated total capital costs increased to $13.1 million for Option A, $11.5 million for Option B, and $10.9 million for Option C. After evaluating the 3 alternative design concepts, the study team has selected Option C as the recommended design option. To recap, this option includes a new bridge constructed at both the Wye River Bridge South location and the Martin Drain Bridge location, with each bridge having a total platform width of 13.5 meters in order to accommodate 2 3.75 meters wide travel lanes and the appropriate clearances on each side. The vertical alignment will meet the minimum hydraulic and geometric design standards, and the horizontal alignment will be shifted approximately 5 meters to the east. This has been selected as the recommended design option at this stage of the process. However, this selection will be reviewed again following the receipt and consideration of comments and input from interested stakeholders. If option C is ultimately confirmed as the preferred design, we have considered and documented the mitigation measures that should be implemented, including any commitments to future work, to ensure that any potential impacts are minimized as the project moves forward. As a general, overall mitigation measure, continued coordination and engagement will be undertaken between the County of Simcoe and other stakeholders, including but not limited to the Township of Springwater, Indigenous communities, review agencies, utility providers, and adjacent property owners. In addition, all required permits and approvals will be obtained. The required permits and approvals will be further determined during detailed design, and monitoring of the project will be completed during and post-construction to ensure it has been completed in accordance with the approved design, the associated permits and approvals, and that the mitigation measures put into place have been effective. Mitigation measures to be undertaken for the physical environment include developing and refining the design to minimize the extent of grading and limits of disturbance, completing the appropriate studies and investigations to address requirements related to soil reuse and management, preparing effective construction staging and traffic management plans to minimize disruptions to traffic and reduce carbon emissions due to idling and delays, and coordinating with impacted utility providers to ensure relocations are completed as necessary. Mitigation related to the economic environment will include continued efforts to minimize the cost implications of the project, while ensuring all requirements are met. With regards to mitigation measures to minimize impacts to the natural environment, as previously noted, efforts will be made to reduce the limits of disturbance through detailed design, which will also help limit vegetation disturbance. Any tree cutting that is unavoidable will be undertaken outside of the migratory birds and bat roosting windows. Similarly, any in-water works will be limited to the permissible window, and restoration and habitat improvement plans will be developed during detailed design in consultation with a qualified ecologist. Any additional environmental investigations required to prepare the appropriate environmental protection and/or restoration plans will also be completed as part of detailed design. And finally, with respect to mitigation of potential impacts on the cultural and social environments, there are commitments to complete future work, such as additional archaeological assessments for any areas identified to retain archaeological potential, as per the Stage 1 assessment, ensuring the design includes consideration of potential climate change challenges, ensuring construction management measures are incorporated into the contract documents, and completing noise and vibration monitoring during construction. The next step in this Class EA process is a 2-week comment period. The study team will then consider all comments and determine if the preferred design choice will remain the same or if reevaluation is necessary. If the preferred design choice remains the same, the study team will prepare its final documentation of the process in the form of an environmental study report, which will be made available for review and comment. A notice of completion will be issued, and a final 30-day public comment period will be provided. At the conclusion of that comment period, assuming there are no major objections, the municipal class EA will be considered complete. This will allow the county to then determine if, how, and when they want to proceed to implementation. That concludes the presentation. Your feedback is very important to us. Please forward any comments or questions to the members of the study team by August 19, 2025. Once again, we would like to thank you for your interest and participation, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.